Havoc is back in Season 2, and so am I with a new rotation deep dive guide. In this video, you will learn everything you need to skyrocket your Havoc gameplay in both raids and Mythic Plus dungeons. Quickly smash that like button and let's get started. After all the changes done to Havoc for the War Within Season 2, Felskart is completely dead and you will be playing the Aldrachi Reaver hero tree in both raid and Mythic Plus. This hero tree is very powerful but relatively complicated, with a lot of big and small things to optimize if you want to play it to its full potential. It has an insane damage profile that can handle every situation, while it is also very tanky with both damage reduction and self-healing. This video is packed with valuable tips to help you understand the complexity of Aldrachi Reaver and master the spec, so make sure you watch till the end. The main resource of the spec is soul fragments. It is important to generate as many of those as possible. You can either collect them by walking over them or by casting Fellblade, which will immediately collect every soul fragment within a 100-yard radius. Collecting 6 soul fragments or casting the Hunt transforms your next throw glaive into Reaver's Glaive, which starts the Aldrachi Reaver combo. After throwing your Reaver's Glaive, you buff your next Blade Dance and Chaos Strike to have special effects. Blade Dance will deal 3 extra slashes of uncapped AoE damage, while Chaos Strike will debuff your target with Reaver's Mark, increasing its damage taken by 6%. The special effect of the second ability you cast is always doubled. On single target, the order of the abilities does not really matter, but in AoE, you should always cast Chaos Strike first and Blade Dance second. After casting both empowered abilities, you get Thrill of the Fight, increasing your damage done by 15% for 10 seconds. You can only have one Reaver's Mark, and it should always be cast on the enemy mob with the highest health points, either the boss in a raid or the biggest mob in a Mythic Plus pack. Reaver's Mark does not only increase damage taken, but it also redirects a lot of AoE damage dealt to other mobs back to the main target, thanks to the Wounded Quarry talent. The more targets you hit, the more priority damage you deal. This damage profile is called Funnel, and it is extremely powerful, probably the biggest strength of Havoc DH in the current patch. If you enjoy the content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so YouTube will show you more of my videos. And if you are willing to go the extra mile, consider becoming a channel member to help me grow Felfargaze TV and make more and better videos. The talent trees for Raid and Mythic Plus have a very similar foundation and some small but important differences. They both take all talents for Throw Glaive to do strong passive cleave and go down the middle of the Havoc tree to grab Cycle of Hatred for reduced I-Beam cooldown. They also both take Know Your Enemy and Chaotic Disposition, which make both specs scale extremely well with Critical Strike and Mastery. There are differences, while a few are very important. The Raid build uses Dance with Fate to focus more on Blade Dance damage, while the Mythic Plus build uses Blind Fury to do increased I-Beam damage. Then, in the Raid, you use Incorruptible Spirit for an easy and strong overall absorb, while in Mythic Plus, you need Army unto oneself to survive the infinitely scaling one-shots. In Raid, you play Keen Engagement for the extra Fury regeneration, while in Mythic Plus, you play Preemptive Strike for the extra AoE. In Raid bosses with a lot of odds, you can also play Preemptive Strike, but I personally never use it in Raid. The difference between the two talents is very small. Finally, in Raid you should be using Tactical Retreat, Exergy, Essence Break and Shattered Destiny to do maximum single target DPS, while in Mythic Plus you will be dropping those 4 points to grab the entire Immolation Aura package and do massive AoE. You will always be using the Immolation Aura Mythic Plus build in 6 out of the 8 dungeons in Season 2. For Theater of Pain and Mechagon Workshop, which have mostly small packs and a lot of single target DPS, you can use a variation of the Raid build if you feel like you need more priority damage. You can find links for all 3 builds in the description of the video. Playing Aldrachi Reaver in the Raid feels like an endless cycle that keeps repeating. You should always have 4 main goals in mind. Number 1. Generate as many soul fragments and cast as many Reaver's Glaives as possible. Number 2. Maintain Reaver's Mark on the boss 100% of the time. Number 3. Buff your I-Beam and Essence Break burst windows with Thrill of the Fight. Number 4. Maximize Thrill of the Fight uptime. Your cooldown timings will be very weird at the start of each fight due to the terrible new design of Cycle of Hatred. Essentially, the first time you cast I-Beam, it will have a 35-second cooldown, then 30, then 25, and finally, after your 4th I-Beam, you will have a consistent cooldown of 20 seconds. Keep in mind that you reset I-Beam with Metamorphosis on pull, so you cast it twice and accelerate this stupid process. The timeline of Havoc cooldowns looks roughly like this. It is inconsistent for the first minute and starts normalizing once you have a consistent 20-second cooldown on I-Beam. In the first part of the fight, if you have good RNG and extend demon form long enough, you can pretty much use everything on cooldown until they sink. If for some reason this does not work, you can delay Essence Break and Vengeful Retreat to line up with I-Beam around the 45-second marker. Do not cast Essence Break without being in demon form just to get it on cooldown. Regardless, the Hunt and Sigil of Spite should be cast on cooldown. You want them to generate as many Reverse Glaives as possible. Remember to never cast the Hunt while you already have a Reverse Glaive active. When there are adds spawning, you should keep the following in mind. You already have all the glaive talents for a lot of passive cleave and funnel DPS. If possible, Reaver's mark should remain on the boss regardless what you are attacking. Unless absolutely necessary, you should keep focusing the boss and cleave the adds. Don't cast throw glaive ever. After each Reaver's glaive, you should always cast Chaos Strike first and Blade Dance second if there is any add present. If the adds are stunnable, you can spec into Chaos Fragments and generate extra souls with Chaos Nova. The raid opener with Metamorphosis is split into 3 parts: Preparation, Essence Break window when the big burst happens, and Outro where you spend the rest of your cooldowns. You start the preparation with Immolation Aura and Sigil of Flame pre-pull, pop your unused DPS trinket if you're using one, cast the Hunt followed by Reaver's Glaive, and finally I-Beam to complete the preparation phase. Cast 1 Annihilation to spend Inner Demon and proceed with the classic Essence Break, Death Sweep, Vengeful Retreat, cancel its animation with Metamorphosis, and finish with 1 more Death Sweep. Start the outro phase with 1 more Annihilation to spend Inner Demon and refill your Fury with Fellblade. Proceed with I-Beam, Sigil of Spite, and finally Annihilation and Death Sweep. When your Metamorphosis comes off cooldown later during the fight and you do not have the Hand available, you should make sure that you always cast Vengeful Retreat on cooldown so that you have Exergy for the entire combo. Let's see this in action. For your regular Essence Break combo, you want to always Vengeful Retreat before I-Beam to get Exergy. Follow up with Fellblade, Essence Break, Death Sweep, Annihilation, Annihilation. Let's see it in action. If you use Blade Dance right before I-Beam to complete the Aldrachi Reaver combo and get thrill of the fight, you can still execute your Essence Break combo by following a slightly different ability order during your demonic window. Let's see it in action. When you cast I-Beam with no Essence Break, your goal is to get 2 Death Sweeps within your demonic window. In order to achieve this, you need all the Fury in the world, some luck, and around 3000 haste. You cast all your Fury generators before I-Beam, and you only spend Fury inside demonic to extend demon form as long as possible. You start with Immolation Aura, Vengeful Retreat, then Fellblade back in, cast I-Beam and Death Sweep followed by 5 Annihilations, and finally squeeze in a final Death Sweep. If you made it here and still have some Fury, you can squeeze 1 more Annihilation within the animation of the second Death Sweep. If you proc any soul fragments, instantly collect them to get the extra Fury. You are relying on RNG as well here, so you might not be able to pull this off every time, but it is extremely satisfying when you do. Remember that Death Sweep must be the first global after I-Beam. If you delay it for any reason, you won't make it to the second one. Let's see it in action. In Mythic Plus dungeons, more than 35% of your damage comes from your Reaver's Glaives, either directly or indirectly. It is extremely important to use all the tools you have to generate as many souls and Reaver's Glaives as possible and spend them wisely depending on the situation. Your Reaver's Mark should always be on the biggest enemies, such as bosses, mini-bosses, or big priority adds, like the Lightspawn in Prior of the Sacred Flame, the Shredders in Operation Floodgate, or Hobgoblins in Cinderbrew. If the big mob is about to die, you need to identify the next biggest thing in the pack and move your Reaver's Mark to that target. As Havoc, focusing down big targets with your Reaver's Mark and your Wounded Quarry is your biggest strength, so it is extremely important to know which target needs to be prioritized in every situation. As you will see, you do have a lot of buttons that you need to press on cooldown in Mythic Plus, so you better not get in the bad habit of spamming Chaos Strike while you have way better buttons to press. Ideally, you want your Thrill of the Fight to buff every I-beam and as many Immolation Aura and Inner Demon procs as possible. These abilities combined can easily amount to another 30% of your overall damage. Meanwhile, your Blade Dance casts will constantly activate free throw glaives that will spread Serrated Glaive and Burning Wound debuffs, so you do not have to worry about them at all. The Mythic Plus opener with Metamorphosis is also split into 3 parts, similar to the Raid one: Preparation, Burst Window, and Outro. You start the preparation with Immolation Aura and Sigil of Flame pre-pull, pop your unused DPS trinket if you are using one, cast the Hunt, followed by Reaver's Glaive, Chaos Strike, and Blade Dance to get Thrill of the Fight. Spend all your Immolation Aura charges and then proceed with your big burst. Cast I-Beam, followed by Sigil of Spite, 1 Annihilation to spend Inner Demon, and proceed with the classic Death Sweep, Vengeful Retreat, cancel its animation with Metamorphosis, and finish with 1 more Death Sweep. Finally, cast Annihilation to spend 1 more Inner Demon proc and close your burst with your second I-Beam. At this stage, you have collected 6 souls and you can cast 1 more Reaver's Glaive, followed by Annihilation and Death Sweep to reapply Reaver's Mark and keep the ball rolling. Let's check it out. There is a small variation that you will use in case you have a lot of Art of the Glaive stacks and you want to spend them more aggressively. Right after Metamorphosis, you will first cast 1 more Reaver's Glaive and follow with Annihilation into Death Sweep, giving you Thrill of the Fight for your second I-Beam. This version essentially combines the burst and the outro phase of the previous opener into one. Let's see this in action. When you fight single target dungeon bosses, you can use a raid opener with Metamorphosis from the previous section, just without Essence Break. For your I-beams, there is no certain order that you must follow. Just make sure that you have Thrill of the Fight up for every I-beam and cast Death Sweep once during your demonic window. Executing your combos properly can increase your damage by a lot, but for Aldrachi Reaver, there is nothing more important than generating as many soul fragments as possible and casting as many Reaver's Glaives as possible. It is extremely important to understand all sources of soul fragment generation and optimize them to the maximum. Casting the Hand gives you an entire Reaver's Glaive. Generally speaking, you want to cast the Hand on cooldown to get the free Reaver's Glaive, but if Reaver's Glaive is already activated, casting the Hand will override the existing Reaver's Glaive with a new one, essentially completely wasting an entire Reaver's Glaive. So you should always spend your Reaver's Glaive first before casting the Hand to make sure you do not override it. Simple, right? Well, even in this case, there is another way you can waste your Hand. If you have 6 or more stacks of Art of the Glaive, absorbing 1 more soul fragment will spend 6 stacks to activate your Reaver's Glaive. This can easily happen exactly after casting your Reaver's Glaive, but before you finish casting the Hand. This way, you will cast 1 Reaver's Glaive, then spend 6 stacks to activate the next Reaver's Glaive, and then complete the cast of the Hand and completely waste the free glaive given by the Hand. In order to avoid this, you want to cast Spellblade in advance to absorb all existing soul fragments, then cast Reaver's Glaive to spend it, and finally cast the Hand to get your free Reaver's Glaive. Casting your sigils on cooldown. You should be casting Sigil of Flame, Sigil of Misery, and Sigil of Spite on cooldown. All sigils generate 1 soul fragment thanks to the talent Soul Sigils, while Sigil of Spite generates an additional 3 soul fragments thanks to its base effect. All of these souls are vital fuel for your Aldrachi Reaver machine. It is okay to delay Sigil of Spite by a few seconds in order to hit multiple targets instead of 1, but do not overdo it. Remember, souls are above everything else. Chaos Nova. Chaos Nova is buffed by the talent Chaos Fragments to have a 30% chance per target to generate a soul fragment. You should try to cast Chaos Nova on cooldown versus multiple targets. This is extremely efficient against packs with a large number of small mobs, like the Neophytes in Priory of the Sacred Flame or the small kobolds in Dark Flame Cleft. Passive Souls. There are a lot of passive souls that spawn from multiple sources. You cannot really control this, but being aware of them helps you understand how the spec works and when to expect a large amount of souls. Each Aldrachi combo you complete shatters one soul fragment thanks to the hero talent Aldrachi Tactics. A lot of souls are also generated through Wounded Quarry. The more physical damage you deal, the more souls you get. If you are a bit lucky in AoE, you can get a ton of souls. Chaos Strike can also randomly spawn souls thanks to Demonic Appetite. Every time you kill an enemy and you actually score the last hit, one soul spawns. This is completely random and can trigger from random AoE, direct or dot damage. Once again, when you AoE a ton of tiny adds, this happens way more often than you might expect. When spending your Reaver's Glaives in Mythic Plus, you should keep in mind several rules, similar to the ones you have in Raid. Number 1. Always have one Reaver's Glaive for each I-beam. I-beam is your number 1 damage, and you always want it buffed by Thrill of the Fight. Number 2. Ideally, maintain Reaver's Mark on one target. This will proc Wounded Quarry to do funnel DPS and generate more soul fragments. However, if a pack is already dying and you feel that you will get very little value by reapplying Reaver's Mark to one of the few mobs which are almost dead anyway, feel free to save it for the next pack. Number 3. In situations where you have too many Art of the Glaive stacks, spend your Reaver's Glaives more aggressively and try to maintain 100% uptime of Thrill of the Fight. This can easily happen in Mythic Plus if you get lucky during big pulls. Optimizing Aldrachi Reaver takes some practice and requires a really good understanding of the hero tree and its hidden mechanics. I have created a video that goes over 7 secret interactions of the Aldrachi Reaver and how you can abuse them to skyrocket your gameplay. You can check it out by clicking the video on screen or the link in the description. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.